Today I'm going to be making a video where I talk about every single car I've ever driven. Okay, maybe not all of them, but at least most of them. Let's get straight into it. And we can lump three of these together: the Peugeot 106, the Ford Fiesta, and the Vauxhall Corsa D. Now, I learned to drive in the Corsa, but the first car I ever actually drove was the Peugeot 106, and the Fiesta was the other car that I kind of did a bit of learning in as well. So I'm going to put all of those cars into our decent category. I've actually driven multiple Corsa generations, and the other one that I wanted to mention today was the Corsa F. I couldn't believe how well equipped this car was, so I'm going to put it into the good category. Compared to the Corsa D, it was like a whole different world. And sticking to the Vauxhall theme, we have the Vauxhall Astra J. This is actually a car that I have in the family. It does do the job. I can't really put it anywhere other than decent. But across this whole category of cheap hatchbacks, there is one car that I think takes the cake, and that is this, the Skoda Fabia from around 2022. This car was just brilliant. It had all of the practicality you needed, none of the fuss, just like did the job. There was nothing wrong with that car at all. I'd have had it as a daily driver in a heartbeat. So that gets into the unreal category in my books. And on the other end of the spectrum, another car that I drove in Switzerland, and a car that I'm going to put actually into probably let me down, is the A-Class. I got the A-Class because I thought it was a good looking car, something more premium. I wanted to go up from the Skoda. I had the Skoda before, wanted the Mercedes A-Class next, and it looked a bit more premium, but the materials felt worse. It was less practical. The drive raids were more annoying. So I have to put it into let me down because it wasn't quite as good as I'd have liked it to have been. I'd have just rather had the Skoda. On to one of my cars now. The first one I talk about in this video, the VW Polo 9N. It is the foundation of this YouTube channel. It is the absolute epitome of no nonsense. It's a car that means a lot to me. So I'm going to put it into the unreal category because I have to. It's probably not as good a car as the Skoda was, and I'd probably rather have that Skoda as a daily, so I'm going to leave it behind that. Next up, we have the Swift. Now, I'm going to put the Swift into good behind the Corsa F. It's actually quite quick as well for a first car. Like, it's 0 to 30 so much better than most other cheap cars within its price range, so I thought, yeah, it's got to be in good. The Seat Ibiza, it's actually a generation older than the Fabia that I drove, although they're pretty much the same kind of vibe. It just wasn't quite as good as the Skoda because you had the simply clever stuff from Skoda that made that better. So the Ibiza is going to go into the decent category, I reckon. Two cars left out of the cheap hatchbacks. The first one is the Audi A3. I drove a black edition, did some motorway miles on it, some country lane miles on it as well, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was a great little car for the money. However, I wouldn't quite put it into good. I wouldn't say it's like anything special. I wouldn't say it's like as surprising as the Corsa F. So within its category, the A3 definitely tops decent for me at the moment. I'm actually a really kind car reviewer, so I need to be as harsh as I can in this video. Decent is fine. And the last one, which is going to annoy some people, I think, because they did in the comments of that video, but the Kia Picanto, I'm going to put that into let me down. I'll go behind the A-Class, actually. So I think, yeah, the Picanto is a great car, genuinely. And in terms of having like a 7-year warranty on it, unbelievable. As a city car, it's pretty good. It just felt so cheap in every single part of the car. Right, we're moving on from hatchbacks into cheap dailies. We're going to start with the Mercedes C220D. I drove an AMG line. What a crazy car this was, actually. Like, incredibly quick for a diesel, not top of the range car. I'm going to put it into good, behind the Corsa, ahead of the Swift, and swiftly onto the Tesla Model 3. I had a chance to drive one of these. The interior is what kind of lets me down. It does feel really bland in there. It's not minimalist, it's just bland. It's like trying to make up for the interior by having that big screen, but the big screen doesn't do it for me. I don't want to look at a screen when I'm driving. I just want to focus on driving. I want to enjoy the experience. It was quick, but I got bored of it quite quick as well. So I'm going to put it into, let me down. Then onto the Mazda 6 Estate. Now this is going to go into good. I'm going to put it in good ahead of the Swift again. I'd say that we had an absolute base spec and it was quite well equipped as a base spec. It could have been better equipped. The Corsa F is better equipped. The Skoda Fabia was better equipped. So in terms of like equipment on the base level, could have been better. And we've spoken a lot about Skoda Fabias. We're going to talk about the Skoda Fabia Estate. My first car that I actually owned. Now, obviously, this is going to have to go into the unreal category. That's just the rules. At top of Unreal for now, because it took me around Europe 2,536 miles, something crazy like that. It went wrong all the time. There were things wrong with it, like the passenger door wouldn't open. Catalytic converter failed at one point and just meant that the car went super slowly for a couple of weeks, and all sort of the bits and bobs. So that's why I can't quite put it into the best. But as a car to have as your first, it was the most practical, the most usable, the best for doing long trips in. I can't stress how good that car was as a first car. And also, it's like known as a granddad car. So it took all of the potential heat off of me when out driving on the roads. And insurance was cheap. That car was sick. Now, on from cheap dailies, we have hot hatchbacks. I'm going to put the Mini Cooper S into Let Me Down. You know what? That's not fair. I'm not putting in Let Me Down. I'm going to put it in decent. Top of decent. It was a good car overall. But in hindsight, looking back on it, I think it could have been better. It was lovely to drive, nice and quick. I drove the auto as well, so that might have taken from the experience a bit. I'd have preferred a manual. I think it's only fair that the 595 comp comes next. I'm going to put that into good. I'm going to put it behind the Swift. The only problem was it felt super vacant at the steering wheel. Just was like, I just couldn't feel anything. But the attention to detail on that car is above and beyond everything else in its class. And with that in mind, the Turismo will go right behind it. It's not quite as quick, but it's still a pretty cool car. The VW Golf R, I thought it was going to be way more aggressive than it ended up being. I mean, like, it's a boy racer car, and I don't really understand why, but I'm going to chuck it in to good. I'm going to put it at the top of good for now, because it was a great car to drive, and as a car, it's basically a Golf that happens to be ridiculously rapid. You can drive it like it's a Golf, or you can drive it like it's some kind of fast Grand Tour is the best way I can think of it. Now, another controversial one, the A45 AMG. I've not been kind to A-classes in this video, and the A45 is going to go and Let Me Down, and it's going to stay there, unfortunately. I'm going to put it top of Let Me Down, though, because it is a cooler car than the Model 3. I was hoping for more from a hyper hatch. I was hoping that it was going to be more silly, more aggressive, more like every time I pressed the throttle, it was going to kill me. That was what I was expecting. I didn't have any of that. It was quick, but it didn't. Yeah, it never set me alight, and I was really disappointed with the interior. The materials in there were rubbish, like the fake carbon fiber on the dashboard. Nah, that can't run, not in my books, not for that kind of money. But I would absolutely have one as a daily driver. I want to make this very clear. It let me down. I still liked it. The Toyota GR Yaris. Now, this is going to be the first car that I put into the best. Interior-wise, it's not as good looking in there as the A45. Pace-wise, it's not as quick as the A45. To drive, it is significantly more fun. All-wheel drive, the couple of LSDs, all the rest of it. My gosh, that car absolutely sent me. I was just so gassed driving it. Watch the review if you haven't already. I love that car. It's going in the best. I'd have one in a heartbeat. And then the 308 GTI, and that is going to go into the Unreal category. I'm going to put it, I can't put it ahead of those, unfortunately, but I'm going to put it just behind the Polo 9M for now. I was really surprised by it. Peugeot hadn't really been top of my radar for a long time. When I drove the 308 GTI, though, I'd been driving a lot of hot hatches at the time, including the A45. It was way more fun than all of them. A true hot hatch formula, front wheel drive, LSD, keeps you just banging through the gears, having a good time, infinite confidence in the wet as well. Great car, goes in Unreal. On to the sports cars now. The Porsche 911 992 Turbo, the Turbo S Cab, and then the 996 Turbo and Turbo Cab as well. So let's start with the 992 Turbo. That is going to have to go into the best behind the GR Yaris. I'm going to put the Turbo S Cab, which I also drove at Silverstone, at the Porsche Centre Silverstone, for about like 4 hours, absolutely hammering this thing around the track. That is going to go above the 992 Turbo because it is just ludicrously fast. 2.4 to 60 or something we managed to clock in it. And I put in lap after lap after lap around that track, and it saved me every time I did something stupid, which was quite often. And the 996 Turbo and Turbo Cab, I'm going to put both of those into good, and the Turbo Cab is going to go ahead of the Turbo, which is Rogue. I prefer the Coupe 911 in general, but that cab made so much sense as a classic cruiser. It was a hot sunny day, sun was beating down on me, had the roof down. I felt so happy in that car, and as two cars to drive, they are so underrated because they had controversial headlights. Two more Porsches now, the Cayman 981 and the Cayman 981S. The 981 is going to go into the Unreal category, as is the 981S. I'm going to put the 981S ahead of the 981 and then the 308 GTI in front of both of them. Behind the 308 GTI because it left less of an imprint on me, but it was a great car to drive, super well balanced, and it's literally a Porsche for pretty cheap prices nowadays. On to the next one, we have the BMW i8. Now I'm going to put this into good. Probably one of the most like spotted cars out on the roads, people looking at it, people taking pictures. Like, that car had a lot of attention and it was very good looking and it felt super futuristic. It was just a bit different from everything else in the BMW range and I really liked driving it. And also going into the good category, I have the Ferrari 360 Modena, which I've driven on track. I'm going to put that, yeah, I'll put it top of good. I enjoyed driving it. I had the gated manual gearbox in it as well, and that was a real experience. Pretty much like probably the best value for money Ferrari can get into nowadays. So yeah, they're going to go up in value at some point and they're probably on the way up already. So that's a cool one to put in there. Sticking to Ferraris for a second, let's talk about the 458. I'm going to put that into unreal, behind the Skoda Fabia 2022. Ahead of my 9N, no, sorry. Behind my 9N, ahead of the 308 GTI. Obviously, one of the probably the best modern flagship-ish Ferraris. I mean, like the main sports car lineup of Ferraris. Yeah, I got to go into unreal. Drove it on track as well, and it handled beautifully. Made me feel super confident whilst driving it. And I got two more Ferraris for you now. The first one is the California. The California I'm also going to put into unreal. And I'm going to put it behind the 458, even though it surprised me more. The 458 is a better car, but the California I also drove on track, and I was also happy with how it drove. Just bags of confidence, felt like a Ferrari, way more practical as well. Put my golf clubs in there if I wanted to. That is a great car, and it's significantly cheaper than the 458 as well. Get them for like 60 grand nowadays. That is a lot of car for the money, that California. So that has to go into unreal for me. And the final one is the Ferrari 348. I would just say it wasn't quite as cool as driving the others. I drove it on the same day as the other Ferraris. Drove it on a little track. It had a good time, but it felt super ropey. And I didn't like how my feet were sideways, like literally at a diagonal to drive it. So I'm going to put it into let me down for now. I actually came away from it like, didn't like that much. Another one I've driven on track, the Mercedes SL63 AMG. I am going to put this into good. Behind the Golf R. I like the SL63. It was cool. It feels very heavy on track. Like, it feels like a proper Grand Tourer, which is what it's supposed to feel like. It looks good. It goes good. I would just say it goes a bit under the radar. It's maybe not as good looking as the more recent SL generation. We've got another one that's going into the best category. It is the Alfa Romeo 4C. Top of the best for now. Absolutely loved driving it. Just like the perfect car for me. Lightweight, not too much power. Just looks stunning. Gets so much attention out on the roads. So yes, 4C has to go to the top. And I actually managed to swindle that car from my mate for about 4 months a couple of years ago. He gave it to me very kindly for my wedding and I drove it for like 4 months. My gosh, what an ownership experience. I'm going to have to own one at some point. I just can't buy one right now because if I did buy one, I'd never sell it. So that's just like 35, 40 grand gone. Can't do that. The Jaguar F-Type R rear wheel drive. I expected this car to sit in the good or decent category before I had the chance to drive it. After having driven it, it has to go into unreal ahead of the 458, which is going to turn a few heads. I actually would obviously rather have the 458 clearly, but the F-Type R for the money, for like 30k and less, is just so much exotic for that kind of cash, and it was so powerful. I just didn't understand how someone could actually like have that out on the roads for that kind of money and throw it around. What a cool car. And sticking to unreal again, I have to put the Emira in there too. I'm going to put the Emira ahead of the F-Type R. I just can't shift those three cars yet. Another car that I thought was not going to deliver on its promise of still being a Lotus, and it was absolutely a Lotus. Watch the review that I did on it. It was just so beautifully balanced. It still had that heart of Lotus in there. The fact that behind you've got that supercharger whine you can just about hear, and also that you can like see the throttle opening and closing behind you. Yeah, mate, proper car. And that brings the end of the sports car segment and onto the cheap sports car segment. I've only got 3 of these. First one being the GT86. I drove my good friend Audas, fellow YouTuber's car, a few years back. I actually really wanted one for a long time, and after I drove one, I did like it. It was very well balanced. I think it's like the modern day MX-5 if the MX-5 didn't exist. I'm going to put it into the good category behind the Corsa F. Then the Mazda MX-5 Mark I, another car that I own, so a lot of bias here. This is going to go into the best category, and I'm going to put it ahead of the Turbo S's, behind the GR Yaris, and behind the 4C. This car is not a car that I ever wanted to own. You guys selected it for me on YouTube. I said, should I buy this or a Mark I TT? You chose the MX-5. I bought it, and it has just been an absolute joy. It is one of the best cars to drive. It's one of those cars that I actively want to give to other people to drive, and everyone who's driven it has had an amazing time in it. I've let people drive it on track. That car is just sublime. Modifications we've done to it in terms of like the suspension, all that kind of stuff, the supercharger, it makes it an experience every time you drive it. And finally, my most recent car in the garage, the Audi TT. Lovely car, perfect. It's actually a perfect little pickup truck is the way I think about it because of how big the boot is on it. So because it's got such a big boot and all the rest of it, it has to go into good. It's not an Unreal car, it has to go into good. Ahead of the Corsa F, it's a better looking car. It like has more road presence than the Corsa F. It's gonna go there. Now we are on to fast coupes, estates and saloons, starting with the BMW M3 E92. I've always wanted one of these, and after I drove one, I wanted one even more. It's going to go into the Unreal category, just behind the 308 GTI. I love the V8 engine. It sounded amazing. The one I drove had a Scorpion exhaust on it, thanks to my friends at Motorland for letting me drive it. My gosh, what a car. And with that in mind, I'll talk about the other car that I drove that same day, the RS4, which is kind of a bit of a competitor to it, a bit earlier than the E92. This is a hard one. It's going to go in Unreal as well, this RS4. I'd love to put it equal to the E92. Knowing that I can't, I'm going to put it behind because the E92 is more of a dream car for me, but that RS4 felt like a proper like DTM touring car vibe. Onto another car that I own, the 156 GTA, the Alfa Romeo 156 GTA. I am going to have to put this into Unreal as well. And finally, I'm going to dethrone one of these cars, not the Skoda Fabia estate, but I'm going to put it into second place in Unreal. I actively choose to drive that car over most other cars. For long journeys, it is perfect. The only problem with it is the rust, so I can't put it into the best. Like the fact that it gets so rusty and that there's so much rust work for us to do on it is frustrating, and therefore it has to go into Unreal and not the best. But that engine is sublime. When you hear it from inside the car, from outside the car, it just sounds like amazing. And the torque it has, I feel like I could go in 6th gear from 10 miles per hour to 110 miles per hour, no problem. And it just looks stunning. It's such a good looking car. Since the Alfa Romeo theme, we have the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. This is going to go into good for me. It's almost worthy of Unreal. I'm going to put it at the top of good for now. If that car was a hot hatchback, it would be the single best hyper hatch on the market. Like 510 brake horsepower, all-wheel drive. That thing just needs a slightly smaller body shell and like slightly smaller wheels and lower suspension, and it simply is the best hatch on the market. And then on Alfa Romeo again, the Giulia Quadrifoglio, I'm going to put this into the best. Rogue, I know, but it's going to go into the best category. It's going to go ahead of the Turbo S. The Turbo S is probably the best car I've ever driven. I want to make that very clear. It probably is genuinely as good as it gets for me. But the Giulia Quad was way more fun. 510 brake, in race mode, it wants to kill you at all times. Love it. Exactly what I want out of a car, and it looks beautiful. The BMW M2 Competition. Now, sadly I didn't get to make a full video out of this, so you won't see it live on the channel, but I really enjoyed the fact that this car was as close to a BMW E30 M3 as you can get nowadays. So I'm going to put that into the good category. I'm going to put it into good behind the 360, and I'm going to go on to the M4 as well, which I had the chance to drive for a few weeks. Gripe with this car is that it doesn't feel good at slow speeds. I drove around London in one. I was doing like 20-30 miles per hour. The car felt like it wanted to go a lot faster all the time, and like that's great, but it's a bit annoying to live with at times. So I'm going to put it into good. I'm going to put it ahead of the M2 Comp. M4 goes there. 360 gets there because of its gated manual gearbox, by the way. Simple as that. Then we have the Audi RS6. This car absolutely terrified me. You need to watch the review that I did, thanks to my friends at Motorland again. That car was way too much power for the money. Like in the mid 20k region, and you're getting that much power, that much performance. That car scared me out on the roads for how fast it could go and how slow you felt like it was going and how much more it had. That car needs to be used on an autobahn and an autobahn only, and for that reason it's going to go into Unreal. And it's going to go, I'm going to put it ahead of the 308 GTI just because of how scary that car was, man. Like I respect that car. It's just, I see why people love it. The Kia Stinger GT. This is a great value for money Grand Tourer. It's just a really nice car, something a bit different. I wouldn't say it was like in the Unreal category. I don't think it's worthy of that. It's just kind of like a nice touring car. I really didn't review it well, if I'm honest. I reviewed it out on B roads and a couple of country lanes and stuff. That car needed to be on a motorway heading down to the Alps for another cruisy journey through the Alps, not like tight twisty, just a cruising journey. That's what it needed to do. So maybe I'm being a bit unfair here. I'm going to put it into good ahead of the Golf R behind the i8 because I really did like that car. I know we've spoken about the Stelvio already, but we're on to SUVs now. The Nissan Qashqai known as the Nissan Cash Cow, often berated, but I am going to put it into the unreal category. I've driven a couple of these now, both of the most recent generation, or the most recent previous generation, and they are just the best equipped car on the roads for the money. And I can't in good conscience tell you that they're not. It's not going to go at the top of Unreal, it's going to the bottom of Unreal. The equipment in them is just top tier. It's one of the first cars that really took luxury features and applied it into the cheapest end of the market. So the Qashqai for me, despite the fact that I don't like the looks of it, I wouldn't ever have one, I wouldn't buy one. If I'm renting a car for a day or for a holiday, Qashqai first pick every time. Similar vibes, the VW T-Roc. It was never as good as the Qashqai for the same job. So it's going to go into decent. And the T-Cross as well. I actually drove this very recently. There won't be a video on it anytime soon, but it's just a cool little car to cruise around in. And I'm going to put it into decent as well. Ahead of the T-Roc, behind the A3. It had more boot space. Great for someone like me who plays golf. MG ZS, that can go into decent as well. Same vibes as the others. Except in this case, it was super cheap in every possible way. So I'm going to put it at the bottom of decent for now. It was just cheap, mate. And then the Renault Captur. This might be the only car that I actually leave in trash. I did not like it at all. It didn't feel comfortable to drive. Had a really horrible seating position. I appreciate these aren't built for me. They're built for probably older people who want ease of access in and out of the car and that kind of stuff. But for me, that car just didn't run. It wasn't even spacious. There was no real redeeming feature. Had nothing useful in terms of equipment. It's going to stay in trash. So apologies for that if you're a big Captur guy. But again, I'm a very kind person when it comes to reviewing cars, and that has to go there. Final section of this video, we have special/other. Now, of these cars, these are some of the most ludicrous, different things I've had the chance to drive. So this is where all the fun comes in. And we're going to start off with the Renault 5 Maxi Turbo Group B rally car, my dad's car. Obviously goes into the best, goes to the top of the best. Just an amazing piece of kit to drive. If you get driven in one, you feel like you're going to die. When you drive one, you feel like you're going to die. I can't believe those boys back in the 80s would throw those things around. And then the Peugeot 206 WRC, which is also my dad's car, that's going to go into the best as well. It's actually a better car altogether, of course, with 20 plus more years of work gone into making that thing exist as a rally car. I think that car deserves to be at the top of the best, but in terms of my knowledge of cars and where cars have been for me, the Maxi Turbo has been in my life for a lot longer than the 206, so give it time. 206 will probably take the top spot at some point. But yeah, what an amazing chance I had to drive that. If you haven't watched that video, it's one of the best videos I've ever made, so I will link it to the end of this video. Make sure you watch it. Then there was a day where I was at the Bedford Autodrome track. It was a nice track day. I was taking out the MX-5 and I got kicked off after 2 sessions. Not even, literally 2 goes out in the car, I got kicked out because the car was too loud, unfortunately. And by too loud, I mean it was about the same decibels as a lawnmower. As I got kicked out, a good guy there called Sam very kindly gave me the chance to drive his Roverghini, as he called it, the MG ZS 180. And I'll be real with you, that car, front wheel drive, felt like a proper old school touring car out on the track. I'm going to put that into the Unreal category because it completely surprised me with how good it was to drive. So yeah, MG goes ahead of the Caymans because it just handled so beautifully. Obviously it was modified and built for the track and stuff, but it gave you so much confidence and it revved out so much higher than I thought it was going to. So that was a really cool car to drive. 2 cars left. The Bentley Mulsanne we will do first. I am going to put this into the best. It's going to be at the bottom of the best for now, but the fact that I could drive that car with one finger, the fact that the car was built by hand, the fact that there were so many parts of that car that just felt beautifully premium, and the fact that it was going for 35k or something, that is so much luxury car for the money. For that reason, it has to go into the best. That changed my mindset on driving. If I had one of those and I was driving it as a daily, I wouldn't want to drive it. I'd want a chauffeur to drive me instead. But if I was driving that as a daily driver, I don't know if I'd ever get anywhere. I would be so relaxed at all times. I might fall asleep at the wheel. And the last car to talk about today is the Alfa 1300 GT Junior. This car was just amazing to drive around. One of my favorite videos I recorded with my good friend Uma, who owned both the 4C and the GT Junior. I'm going to put this into the best category because it kind of almost feels like people who know Alfas but don't know them that well think that you're driving something way more expensive. I'm going to put it ahead of the Mulsanne because it was a lovely car to drive, so cool to cruise around in. I think a classic forever, and hopefully one day when the people who love those cars get bored of them or disappear, then they will get cheap again and I can get one. That's the dream. And so there we have it. That is my tier list. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Obviously, this is all my opinion. This is nothing to do with fact and all the rest of it. This is just how I feel about them. So don't hate me too much for it, but I'm more than happy for you guys to disagree in the comments down below. Do hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and click on screen to go see another video of me driving my dad's 206 WRC. I think it was one of the best videos I've ever made. Go and check that out for me.